Can you be my mom for just one day? The evening sun hung low over Riverside Park, casting long golden shadows across the walking paths. Margaret Chen stood alone on a quiet stretch of ground, watching the light filter through the trees in soft amber waves. She had come here to escape, not from the crowds, but from the silence of her apartment, the kind of silence that felt like it was waiting for something that would never come. Margaret was a woman accustomed to control. As the CEO of a major tech corporation, she spent her days making decisions that affected thousands of people. She managed budgets, navigated board meetings, and shaped company strategies with the precision of someone who had learned that order was the only thing worth trusting. Her calendar was cut, her emails were answered within the hour. Her life, in every measurable way, was exactly as she had designed it. But design, she had discovered, could only take you so far. She walked slowly along the path, her elegant cream-colored dress trailing slightly behind her. The fabric caught the evening breeze, and for a moment she felt almost weightless, almost free. She came to this park often, though she rarely admitted it to anyone. Here, with no one watching and no one requiring anything from her, she could simply be, not Margaret the CEO, not Margaret the success story, just Margaret, who sometimes felt like she was living someone else's life. It was during one of these quiet walks that she first noticed the little girl. She was standing a short distance away, holding a worn brown teddy bear against her chest. The girl couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. She wore a pink dress with delicate white lace trim, and her blonde hair caught the golden light like spun copper. But what struck Margaret most was the expression on the child's face. It was a look of such pure longing that Margaret's breath caught in her throat. The girl was watching the other people in the park, a mother pushing a stroller while talking on her phone, a father tossing a ball with his son, an older woman sitting on a bench reading stories aloud to her grandchildren. The little girl watched each scene with an intensity that seemed far too old for her small face. Margaret found herself drawn toward the child. She moved slowly, not wanting to startle her. When she was close enough, she crouched down to the girl's level, her expensive heels digging slightly into the soft earth. "Hello there," Margaret said gently. "That's a nice teddy bear you have." The girl looked up at her with wide, uncertain eyes. They were a striking gray-blue like storm clouds just before rain. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, in a voice so small it was almost lost in the whisper of the wind, she asked, "Can you be my mom for just one day?" The words hit Margaret like a physical force. She felt her chest tighten, and for a moment she couldn't breathe properly. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, she simply looked at the small, fragile child and felt something crack open inside her, something she had locked away years ago. "What's your name?" Margaret finally managed. "Emma," the girl whispered. "My mummy was supposed to pick me up from school today, but she didn't come. The teacher called the lady who takes care of me sometimes. She brought me here and said she had to run an errand. She said to stay by the bench and not move." Margaret's eyes widened. She looked around the park more carefully now, finally spotting an older woman near the parking area, talking urgently on her phone. Emma's caretaker, perhaps. Margaret looked back at the little girl, at the teddy bear clutched against her chest, at the necklace around her neck. That's when she froze. The necklace was simple, just a small silver charm hanging from a delicate chain. But on the charm was engraved a single letter M for Margaret. Margaret's hands trembled slightly as she reached out and gently touched the charm. "Where did you get this necklace, Emma?" "My mummy gave it to me," Emma said softly, "before she went away. She said it would help me remember her." But the girl's voice grew quieter. "I'm starting to forget what she looks like." Margaret felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. She blinked them back, focusing on Emma's face instead. And then, slowly, she began to see it. The shape of the eyes, the way her mouth curved when she was uncertain, the determination in her small chin. "Emma," Margaret said, her voice barely steady. "Did your mummy ever talk about a woman named Margaret?" "That's who the M is for," Emma said. "Mummy said Margaret was a very important person. She said Margaret was doing important things, and that's why she couldn't be with us. But she said Margaret loved me very much." Margaret felt the world tilt around her. 12 years. It had been 12 years since Sarah. 12 years since the woman she loved had made choice between Margaret's ambition and their future together. 12 years since Margaret had thrown herself into her work, building an empire of success and achievement, believing that if she just worked hard enough, if she just climbed high enough, the empty space inside her would eventually fill. But it never had. "I'm sorry," Emma continued, her small voice breaking into Margaret's thoughts. "You probably have important things to do. Most grown-ups do. But I just wanted to know what it would feel like to have someone who chose to be with me, just for one day." Margaret looked at the little girl, at her daughter. She realized, and all the carefully constructed walls of her life came crashing down. The color-coded calendar, the answered emails, the achievements and accolades, none of it had ever meant anything. "Not really, Emma," Margaret said, taking the girl's small hand gently in hers. "I don't have any important things to do today, and I don't have any important things to do tomorrow either. Would you like to stay with me? Not just for one day, but for all the days that come after." Emma's eyes widened. She looked uncertain, as if afraid to believe what she was hearing. Really, Margaret said, and she meant it with every fiber of her being. "I've been looking for you for a very long time. I just didn't know I was." She straightened up, keeping Emma's hand firmly in hers. Together they walked toward the woman still talking on her phone. Margaret would need to explain things. She would need to figure out 1,000 complicated details. But as she felt Emma's small fingers squeeze hers trustingly, she realized that for the first time in 12 years, she finally knew what she was building toward. Not an empire, not a legacy of success, but a life. A real life, one where she could be just Margaret, and that would be enough. More than enough. That as the golden light continued to fade around them, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, Margaret and her daughter walked together through the park. The teddy bear swung between them, and Emma's small voice filled the gathering. Dusk with happy chatter about all the things they might do tomorrow, and Margaret, for the first time in a very long time, smiled. It was the smile of someone who had finally come home.